anymore. Well, no, I know.
I hit record. Oh, it's still a second. I'll just keep it on.
Really?
Do your thing. Yeah. I'll cut it out. I'll cut out the if you need to adjust
No,
something.
you
Well,
really?
depending on how.
How hideous my lipstick looks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of. Are we still taping?
Yeah, I didn't turn it off.
Okay.
The
I needed a little shine, ladies and gentlemen. The 5 people who are watching.
and this is how the magic is made. The
Ryan, we're back
Rita.
for another show. Welcome.
and we didn't skip a week this time.
We didn't skip a week. We didn't make Sunday, so we're on Monday. And newsflash, it is Gavin Newsom's recall election eve.
He's not getting out. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't.
It's like Hotel California, Governor California. You can check out, but you can never leave.
He's he's not going anywhere.
The president of the United States is in California today. A few days ago, the vice president of the United States was in California.
Come on,
A few days
man.
before that, Elizabeth Warren was in the United States. You know who wasn't in? I mean, it was in California. You know who wasn't in California? The California senators, the California Congress. They were in other states. That just cracks me up because
I'd like to be in another state.
Can I guess which one? Please, Ryan, let me guess.
Sure, go ahead and guess.
How about Florida?
Oh yeah, I'd like to be in Florida. That's that's the next best option. I don't like winter. You
don't like murder either, do you?
No, although there's some of that in Florida. With all those Florida man news headlines.
I was thinking about Florida today, and I was thinking, people on the East Coast say those crazy Californians.
Yeah,
Californians. And I'm thinking, but everybody says Florida. I wonder how Florida looks at California, because there's a lot of East Coasters in Florida. Who's more crazy? What state is more out there? Because we don't have like a California man like they've got the Florida man. We certainly don't have alligators running around.
It's the
toss up.
I mean, it's hard to describe, like, because everyone out here is nuts, but they're all good looking, so you kind of ignore it. You know, it's I feel you get away with a lot more, like being attractive.
But Florida is, because Florida's the way it is demographically and geographically connected. You get a little bit of everything in Florida.
Yep.
And so it's a big state.
It is, and it's such an oddly diverse ecosystem there. Also, like if you're going from the tropical stuff to swamps, like all the way up
Everglades, right?
Like in North Florida is a little more like, I guess, wooded or not wooded, but it's a little more, it's not Everglades and palm trees necessarily.
Right. I had to be in Orlando for a meeting, and we had to land in what's about a 3-hour drive from Orlando. It's
Jacksonville.
No, it's more popular. I can't remember it, but the flight had an unknown amount of time. They couldn't land. We circled for an hour over Orlando. They couldn't get in. There was too big of a waiting line to land. So they said, we're going to another airport and we're going to pick you up when we can. We just can't tell you when. And then they said it would probably be about 5 hours. And so I looked on my GPS and I went, I went over to rental. Exactly. I rented a car. And I walked over, and so I had my business account, and I said, "Do you have any rentals?"
Tampa? I feel like
Tampa.
But Tampa is closer than 3 hours to Orlando, isn't it?
2 hours? Is it 2 hours?
Yeah, I think it's closer. Yeah, because
it's 2 hours.
Because I feel like it's just like right across the state. Like I feel
it
like
is right across the street. Yeah, it was a pretty straight trip. The only thing that is that their tolls are, if you don't go to the local, 7-Eleven and get their toll pass. I went like 50 miles, and at the end of it, went through. They said, "Do you have your pass?" No. $26. $26 to go over here. Yeah.
I was talking to a buddy of mine from Florida today, actually, and we were. That's one of the things that he brought up, and then in my brain, I was like, "Oh man, I forgot about toll roads. They don't have those out here."
Not like that, right?
But we should probably use them because the roads out here suck. Like in Southern California, like, oh my gosh, it's on top of traffic being bad, the roads are horrible. Like you kind of need a all-terrain vehicle.
Well, and the problem
to
is
drive the streets,
especially Southern California, there's like gridlock traffic 24/7 because there's so many people. So when and what highway do you shut down to repair? Because that's the funny part about Californians. We complain about the traffic, but we'll complain even more if you shut the roads down.
Yeah.
And we have taken an alternate route.
Well, and they also work on the roads at stupid hours too. They'll like work on a road from like 8
9 o'clock, right?
Like 9 o'clock in the morning until like 5 o'clock. And then, you're like, come on, don't you guys have a night shift that comes in and does this?
Yeah. Remember in the old days, you'd see them at night with the big bright lights. Now they're like, it doesn't matter.
No, we're going to do it during business hours when people are trying to get by and traffic's heavy. But hey, as soon as traffic dies down, we're gonna stop.
When I was
they
in
probably
Nevada,
just don't want to pay the people to work at night. Because you have to pay like for those type jobs, you pay them differently for the night shift, and so they probably just don't want to pay the quality amount that you would have to pay a night shift to do it, and so that they're like, we'll just gridlock everything.
I want to share with you how spoiled we are as humans and expecting to get where we want to get quickly and without any kind of blockages. I'm in Nevada, and I went in the afternoon instead of going early in the morning. So it's about 8 o'clock, and GPS says before I took the freeway exit, I should be there in about 6 minutes. And then it changes very quickly. And right down the middle, they were expanding the highway. So in the middle of the two-sided road, there were crews getting started. The white trucks, and they're stopping. So we were just stopped. Yep, setting the cones out, but they're bringing the big equipment in the middle. I'm like, 20 minutes. And so that just cracks me up. It's like, okay, now they're doing it at night. now they're doing it at night. I want to be there. When I want to get somewhere in 7 minutes. It's just so funny. Never happy.
Never.
I brought my never happy. It's like, just let me get to.
Although I will say Glendale and Burbank, with like whatever they're doing with their city infrastructure is different than like the other Los Angeles metropolitan.
It's more spread apart.
And no, like they actually repair the roads immediately. Like out in Burbank and Glendale. Glendale actually has some of the best roads to drive on. It's probably.
Can you tell you're just stopped?
The traffic's a little thinner over there. Because it's a little further away from LA proper. Like it's not quite out to like Pasadena area. Like it's still. It's if I were gonna stick around here, Glendale's actually a really nice place to live. If you're gonna live in LA, Glendale's great.
It's real middle class, but higher middle class. Really nice.
Yeah.
You gotta get off the freeways.
Expensive, like the hills in Glendale.
Yes, of course.
Oh my God! Some of those houses up there are gorgeous. They're huge. They're beautiful. Hella expensive. Like
remember that
when I used to drive Uber, like I drove Uber a little bit. I would try to stick to that side of town because the roads were nicer, and so I would wait to turn my. I would wait to be online until I got like up in the hills in Glendale, and then I would kind of sit up there and wait until one of the people up there needed a ride. So I would.
That's right. Why? Because I I used to travel so much for work, and I was thinking I could make some extra scratch while I'm working for the company because I was traveling to all these different states and driving a lot. And so I thought, well, what happens if I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, or Flagstaff, or Boise, Idaho, or you know, Portland, Oregon, and I'm already there, and I'm done with work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have until 10 o'clock the next day. I could Uber in all these places. Can you imagine?
Oh yes.
Can
I
you
I am
can
not
you
built for
imagine?
Uber. I'm
No,
not.
and I was thinking,
It
I
was.
know,
I would
but
have panic attacks. Like just the thought of having a stranger in my car
I wouldn't know.
driving to some weird part of the city.
You should see
It,
me. I when I do Uber because the
I wouldn't drive at
I
night either. Like as
well,
soon as it got dark, I would log off.
oh, you're funny.
Yeah.
I had a well, I had a tire blow. I was in Ohio getting I got my flight was delayed, landed in Ohio airport at 1 o'clock in the morning. Then I had an hour drive to this town called Cuyahoga, Ohio. So flying to Cleveland, got to drive an hour, get a rental car. It was a beautiful SUV. Driving, and the GPS says I'm in the fast lane. GPS says in 2 miles, take the next exit, and that's where my hotel was. That's how close I was to my hotel. All of a sudden, I go, oh, okay. I look in my rearview mirror. I see a big, huge truck, like an 18-wheeler coming up. I put my blinker on, and I go to turn the steering wheel, and it juts to the left really quick. And then within seconds, I can't turn the wheel. And I didn't realize it. My tire blew, my driver's front tire blew. And now I am sliding against the cement meridian in the middle. Luckily, I get to slow down. And because it was 2:30 now in the morning, I careen all the way to the right and get on the side of the road. And a very nice police officer pulls up. Long story short, the police officer, once they were determined that I wasn't drunk or high, and she said because it was 19 degrees outside and sometimes they overfill the tires, it wasn't that far-fetched that the tire could blow on the road. So it wasn't like my error. But the next morning, I had to get an Uber to go to the small little airport and pick up a car. Well, here's me, because now it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I had an appointment at 9 o'clock. So sleep until like 5, get up, shower, and have an Uber at 6:30. He shows up at 7. And I don't even know, because it's just like somebody picking you up because it's a regular car. So I just got in the front seat. He's like, people don't usually drive in the front seat. I said, well, I'm already in. He goes, oh, okay. So we visit all the way. Can't find where the rental car place is at the airport, and circle around. And he's like, man, I'm going through a lot of gas. I said, am I supposed to tip you? He's like, you're not supposed to, but we've gone through a lot of gas looking for this place. But so I'm thinking, I think Uber is an amazing idea.
Yeah.
And I think it's really a cool opportunity for people. But yeah, it was just so funny, right? That time, it's like I just got in,
the gas thing with Uber, like it's really not worth it to drive for Uber unless you have a Prius or something that gets that type of gas mileage. Like, because my car, it's a sedan, so I get sedan gas mileage. Well, I have a small SUV. It's a mini-ish. It's like a small SUV is what I drive. Yeah. And so it gets like sedan gas mileage, like 20, 22. And so you kind of break even like with it. Like you're not really making any money, but you make like a couple bucks, but I'm spending it all on gas. Oil changes are not cheap. Like standard oil change is about $100. Like 80.
Yeah, it depends on the miles, because mine is every 3,000 miles, and then it'll be 3,000. The next one's 5,000. But when you're at 15,000, that's when you get up higher in your.
Well, I gotta do fancy oil in my car. Yeah. Like I have one of those cars. I have a foreign car, So
a BMW,
no, nothing that
a
nice.
Mercedes,
No, nothing that does nice.
a Porsche.
I wish
Which country?
Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A Lamborghini?
Yes. I drive a I drive a
SUV Lamborghini.
I drive a Lamborghini SUV. No, I drive one of the 4-door Fiats.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Why do you say it like that's cool?
Like the X's? Because they are kind of cool.
Yeah. What made you buy that car?
I like European cars.
Yeah.
They tend to make the insides of most foreign or like European cars tend to be a lot more roomy than a lot of American cars. Like they know how to space stuff out, and so it feels like it's much bigger on the inside.
Why does that matter? Is
what, that there's room on the inside?
Yes. More room than you need.
Who wants to sit in a tiny car? Like, man, I test drove a Ford Fiesta. Oh my God, that thing was tiny.
Right.
And so, like, in my price range, it was the nicest car that, like, I wanted something kind of nice. You know, if I was gonna have to have a car payment, I wanted something that was kind of fun to drive.
There's only one car, but I would only buy.
And I needed a 4-door. So it's not one of the little. I do like the little bitty Fiats though. I do actually like those. Those are fun. But I needed something with doors. And like I do like the 500Xs. I think they're kind of cool. They look like big versions of the tiny Fiats. And so
the only car that I would ever buy that was fancy would be if I had so much money that it didn't matter. So much money where it's like you've given so much away to different charities. You've taken care of everybody in the family. It's just that it's like so much. And that would be a Porsche 940. I think those are nice. Amazing cars, but mainly an amazing car just to say because I have that much money. But it's hard for me to justify not having a little frugality when it comes to cars.
If I had the money, I'd have a whole garage.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Cars are real utility. I think they're pretty, but utility. And I'm tall, so it can't be too uncomfortable, for long drives.
I kind of miss my Mustang, actually. The only reason I got rid of it is because I don't have anywhere to work on it. Mm-hmm. Like, because I'm very mechanically inclined, so like especially older cars, like everything year 2000 and older, I can do whatever, like mostly whatever I can. If I don't know how to do it, I understand the concepts well enough where I can watch a YouTube video and be like, oh, cool, that's how you do it. But I had a 2000 Mustang that I liked driving. It was fun, but it died, and I just didn't have the space to work on it myself.
But think of the Mustang. How many generations? Because there's always a kid in high school, year after year, over time, who like, my God, they got a Mustang and they fixed it up.
Yeah.
Or his dad got it for him. I mean, and just so you go, it was 60s and 70s and 80s and, the Mustang. My brother had a Mustang when he was a teenager. He had a fancier, more modern one.
Well, I was in my late 30s when I got mine.
Yeah. But still, the Mustang, the mystique to it, the Mustang, and then there's the other one.
It's that American Muscle.
GTO.
The Camaro. Oh yeah, the GTO. Those are nice. I like the old Camaros, like SS's. Yeah. The El Caminos, like with the SS stuff. I would love to get 2 different Broncos. I would love to get one of the original Broncos, like the smaller ones.
The OJ one?
Yeah, no, older.
Okay.
Like
the Scouts? Was it Scout or is that a Jeep?
I think that's a Jeep. The old Bronco, I think they're like, I don't remember the year. I think it's like the 70s, sometime in the 70s. But no, I'd like one of the old Broncos, like the kind of the first run. I can't remember the year. I guess I could Google it, but I don't feel like it. And I would also love to have one of the like OJ year Broncos. Yeah. Like I think those are.
That was a popular Bronco vehicles. Too. Those are, boy, talk about gas guzzlers.
Yeah, those are the type of cars I would buy. Like I wouldn't necessarily, if I did get a Porsche, I would want to get one of the like 60s, 70s, like 911s, but I would want to have everything redone to modern on the end. Like I wouldn't want an original one. I would want kind of like a rebuild kit with actually like good brakes and power steering.
Want to hear the most durable car I ever had? I was looking for a car that I could haul scuba gear in.
Oh yeah, okay.
Scuba gear is wet, messy, stinky, and so you want
a Bronco trunk. For that.
Well, right, but you hope to get a trunk. So a client of mine had an original 1970 steel gray Mercedes. Stunning.
Like what type? What do you mean?
4-door.
Okay, sedan. A sedan, not like
right.
Because there
I don't remember the number. I still have the.
And I don't. I've got the you could have been talking about an old G-Wagon or.
Oh no, it was a sedan, but with a rounded front and everything. Stunning, but it was weathered inside. It definitely. Older seat belts, and you couldn't get 3 people in the back, even though 12 people could fit. It was so big, but it was diesel.
Okay.
And so people would laugh because diesel got good gas mileage, but his drive all the way up 101 to Mendocino.
I wanted go all the way one of those diesel bugs, like the turbo Volkswagen Beetles. Like I actually wanted one of the turbo diesel like Volkswagen. Those things are fast. And they get good gas mileage. So, yeah, I can definitely...
Carmen Ghia, that Volkswagen, amazing. So, drove it for 5 years. And so when you spend very little, but you've got a beast of a car that is so reliable, the only thing it had an intermittent oil leak, which you had to give her some grace because she'd been around forever. And I wasn't going to put a lot of money in trying to fix it. But...
Hey, if it leaks oil, that means it has oil.
That's right. And all it did was, park it on the street with a pan underneath it.
Yeah, I was saying just put some cardboard down.
Exactly. And so, but I was coming home from Oakland, and it was I had to be because every day I was traveling all over, but I remember Oakland, and there's a town, so 2 days later, I get a notice in the mail from the state saying somebody had complained about my exhaust, because when a diesel gets going, that white smoke coming from it.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. So then I didn't think anything of it. And the state saying, we'll buy your car back just to improve the air quality. And I thought, no big deal. A month later, somebody else. And I don't know if it's the same person, but there are people driving around reporting cars.
Fucking Karen.
But here's the thing, right? But here's the wild thing. So I buy it for $500, use it. It had like 480,000 miles on it. Use it like crazy. And it definitely served its purpose. And it was very comfortable because it was a beautiful sedan.
Those Europeans know how to make car interiors.
State of California said, because of our emission laws, $2,500.
Should have sold it.
I did. It's like, where do I drop it off? I know. Where do I drop it off? Well, of course, I drop it off at a place, and the guy said, yeah, we're going to make a lot more than $2,500 on this car. Because for whatever reason, the paint held up. And, just pieces within the car. There are certain cars that are meant to last, for 40 years. But that was an awesome car. I've had a Volvo.
Those cars are tanks. I had an old Saab that was real fun. Like I had a Saab 900 turbo, on it. Oh man, that was so fun to drive.
But yeah, I had a Volkswagen I bought used before we got a Jeep, and the Volvo had an intermittent oil. I don't know, but the fun thing, the Jeep was amazing. The Jeep lasted so long. We actually donated it to the family across the street for their kid because
Okay.
it was
Was it
it had
a Wrangler
it
or
was a
like a Cherokee?
Wrangler. It was a Wrangler and it was tan with the little the wood panel across the
Oh,
side.
okay. So it was a
But
Cherokee. The
yeah,
Wranglers are the
Cherokee, I'm sorry.
okay. So it was a Cherokee. They don't make the 2-door Wranglers anymore. Apparently,
I did not know that. I
the
know that it
because
yeah.
I've been kind of looking at a new car, like looking at new cars. The Yeah, I like cars, and I've been thinking about I really like the new Ford Rangers.
Mhm.
But I saw an ad for Jeeps, and because they're really trying to push the Jeep pickup trucks, and I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? I don't want the Jeep pickup, but I wouldn't mind like like one of the the like the Wranglers, like the shit. Anyway,
Yeah,
blanked
I
on all
seem
of
to
the
have
different
had
names
right.
for them, but like the Sierras
Yeah.
or whatever. I'd love to have one of those, but none of the dealers had any of the any new two doors. It was just the four
Interesting.
doors in the trucks.
I've had really good luck in used cars. So it's like the time where it's needed and for the lifestyle. So a Jeep was great for big dogs and a toddler. That was good for the car seat, just a big family car you could go anywhere in and travel. Then the Volvo as you get a little bit older, and the station wagon, but it was really sleek. The Volvo station wagon was pretty nice, but again, knew somebody who was selling it for under Blue Book, and
Mm-hmm.
it worked except for the oil leak that didn't wasn't great. But then so the only two times I a dealer was when I had to go back for my very first car, and there was a recall, which was funny. But taking it in for the recall, they called and said, "Oh, your distributor cap's got something in it." So the free recall ended up costing like $500, which when
Oh,
you're 18, that could be 5,000. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of money.
um,
Yeah, but
when
then when I bought
some for some 40-year-olds,
right.
that's a lot of
But
money.
then and then the next time, but I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. I prefer to buy. I don't know, from somebody just used.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
because I bought a brand new car. That was one a big splurge in my 30s. Bought a brand new car, and it was fabulous. It was a fabulous car. Had it for almost 15 years. Love it. Missed her. I again another car that was sold for parts, so I can't complain.
right.
So
The one
a
thing
lot
I
of
will say
mileage.
about new cars,
Mm-hmm.
I've it's about 50-50
Mm-hmm.
on the no the new car are warranties. That
Yeah,
is the
right.
one. That is the one good thing about new cars is that outside of outside of tires and oil
Right.
changes, like because sometimes brakes, well, if your brakes go out too fast, then those will get replaced.
Right.
Like my car's not under. I've had it long enough where it's no longer under warranty
Right.
anymore. But when it was under warranty, there was an issue with the brakes. Like when I took it in to to get an oil change, and
Right.
they were checking over stuff, and they were like, "Oh yeah, there's a problem with the brakes," and they just changed it out. I had a battery issue. They gave me a brand new battery because it was under warranty. So that is the one thing for new cars that I will say, like if it's financially viable for you to do
Right.
that,
Right.
then having all of the any mechanical issues are taken care of is the only thing I
Yeah.
will say for
And
that.
because I had Toyota Avalon. That was my one of my favorite cars in the whole world. And the dealer was trying to
That's a 2-door, right?
no, it's a sedan. It's a sedan. It looks like a
Okay.
Lexus. Looks like a
The
Lexus.
I was trying. I
The
was
Avalon. Yeah.
the okay. I know which one you're talking. Okay. The yeah. There's I think a 2-door that looks similar to the Avalons is what I was thinking about.
Maybe there is a two-door Avalon. You know what? I don't know. I was looking for a 4-door,
Right.
but super tricked out. It was not intentionally. That was what was on the lot that day, and I was actually looking for a completely different car. But the the dealership in town, the Toyota dealership, was trying to compete with the oil changers and the different places. So they'd offer this like $35 every
For
5,000 miles.
yeah, for
For the oil change. And then but that's a key thing. And that's just something growing up with my dad, keep the oil pressure or the tire pressure in, rotate those tires and make sure that oil filters. And then the brakes too, it's all relative. But those of us who drive in stop and go traffic, you're going to wear your brakes a little bit. We're spending the whole time talking about cars. What's wrong with this?
Nothing. Cars are awesome.
Except in California, because the gas is almost $5.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's
crazy.
Oh man. I only I put regular in my, and that's still like $4.50 something.
It was, I would have Nevada. Right. And I thought, oh, good. Okay. I'm going to fill up the rest because
I'm not going to miss that.
Right. But my car, I can go round trip on a full tank of gas from Northern California to Nevada, Sparks, Nevada, and back. I think it's a little under 500 miles. So that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But leaving town, it was $4.29. Getting to Nevada, I think it'd be cheaper. It wasn't. It was like $4.39. Coming back home 3 days later, it was $4.49. Went up 20 cents. And so now that those of us who live here, I've always thought, you know what, in the last 2 weeks of August, the prices are always the highest because a lot of people, that's their final time to go on vacation before the kids go back to school.
Yeah, get those Labor Day gas
more
prices.
People, right? More exactly. But what happens is in California is it never goes down again. We just get used to it being, okay, it's $3.75, and then you see other parts of the United States that's under $2 a gallon. Now we have the highest gas tax known to man.
We have the highest tax.
That's right.
Known to man.
Right. Sales tax,
man, that
gas
drives...
tax, property tax. What else tax? Business tax.
Air tax.
Right. They're trying to pass
the tax
mileage,
on weed.
Yeah.
There's the tax.
Yes.
They
tax your weed. Oh, if you go through the stores.
Yeah. I mean,
you've had your
what are you going to do? Go to a
drug dealer going,
who wants
all right, Ryan, I need to see your W-2 and see where should
the sales tax on it's pretty high. It's like 15-20%.
Because there's a fee incurred. It's not the actual sales tax, it's the fee incurred. It's the state giving you the luxury to sell weed.
It's, which is cool to be able to walk into a store and buy it instead of you know
what I think they should do?
Like the olden days, having to meet up with a sketchy cousin's friend who has to take you on.
Here's my
meet up some weirdo in a parking lot.
I think all of those guys and gals who sold marijuana and who are in jail right now for selling marijuana.
Oh, they should get out. They should be freed.
They should get out, and then they should get a percentage of that tax. Say, we changed your minds. It's not a federal offense where you have to be in prison your whole life. Zoopy-doo,
Yeah, especially since everyone out here, you can literally walk to a store and go buy it.
Literally.
There are
you know what you can do?
There are stores on almost every single corner.
They'll deliver it. You can sign up on it, and if you're willing to put your license, take a picture of your license, they will home deliver it for you in a brown paper bag where your neighbors aren't going to see.
It's here too, like full on Uber Eats for weed.
To think about it, when you're young, did the drug dealer ever do home delivery?
Well,
drug dealers would.
A lot of them would.
They would come on over and have a sandwich.
Yeah, I mean,
roll a doobie. That's one from the old days.
Yep.
Smoke a blunt. I think. Tell me something about. Let's talk about cannabis since we're on the seas. Cars and cannabis. That'll be our show. used to be called weed. We'd joke and call it reefer because the 50s, remember the Reefer Madness movie?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know you're
You can
younger than
thank
me, but
William Randolph Hearst for
yes,
that
but we had to watch
garbage.
that. They did that because in still in the 80s, early 80s, the driver's ed, you got to take a driver's ed in school. So you had to watch two movies, but they're both, one was Reefer Madness, and the other one was about young people drinking while under the influence.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. The
I've
guy give
seen
you
those. Those
those,
are
right?
considered comedies these days.
Oh, well, there were comedies then too, because
Okay,
but
so
the
you
Reefer
guys
Madness,
just
like,
laughed your ass off watching
just
them.
yes, yeah.
Okay,
But
good.
yes, that's of course. But the thing is that, well, because it was so like type B movie, and it was so terrible, like, like, yeah,
That dude,
daddy,
the dude playing
let's
the
go smoke.
piano,
I
like
know.
going all
Let's
manic.
go
He's like,
smoke exactly. Let's go smoke some reefer, daddy. Oh my god. Well, so the thing is that, and then in my day, everybody called it weed.
It's called
That's
everything now: weed,
okay, but
cannabis,
then
reefer.
I I was corrected and saying, Rita, come on, old woman, we call it flower.
Yeah,
When did flower come about?
flower.
Is that what all the cool kids are saying?
No. I'm trying to think. I've heard of it used for that. Probably around the 2010s, 2012s. The
So in the
flower
last 10
herb.
years,
Yeah,
herb is from the old days.
yeah, herb. The only thing that is not used as much anymore, technically, is marijuana. Like,
Right.
because it was actually the classification given to it to demonize it because it
Really?
was, yeah, something like that. I could have some of my, yeah, because it was confused with some sort of weird, like some sort of Mexican, like from Mexico, like a plant from
Interesting.
Mexico, like a
So instead
tobacco,
of
like
just
a
saying
wild,
cannabis,
yeah,
yeah.
and instead of just saying cannabis, yeah, they called it that. It yeah, you guys go
Yeah,
home
that's
and
it.
Google
Well,
it. But yeah,
yeah.
there's
Or-
look up the etymology of marijuana, but they named it to sort of lump it in with this wild tobacco that was grown in Mexico or something like that.
I did not know that. I just knew that I'm going to say this carefully so I don't incriminate any of my old friends, but people referred to it, right, as herb and then we would, yeah, or weed. And then we'd laugh for people if they said marijuana
Right.
or reefer,
Well,
because
you
that
call it
would be like
reefer
my parents
to be
to be
funny,
funny,
like
right?
because if you want
Rita,
to,
is this a marijuana? Right. Yeah.
you
Because
smoking that
did I ever
reefer?
tell you, right. Rita, is that a marijuana cigarette? No. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for being honest. Are you smoking? No. Why is that at
the
your purse? It's a friend's.
The yeah, I was way older before I ever came in contact with like regularly with any of that stuff. And
You mean
so
older than high school?
oh yeah, I was like my mid to late 20s.
Well, all of us were smart. All of us hung in a tight group of friends,
Well, I mean, and
and
that's
we
the
just laughed and said, all of us, again, I won't incriminate anybody. Got a physicist, a
well, that
professor,
is
an
the
executive at a big
thing
cable company,
that makes
right?
me mad
So,
about it
right,
is the
how it's
label
going
it
to ruin your
gets
mind,
because
right?
because the image that people that haven't smoked it or ate it or anything, like the people that haven't done any of that or have been raised to demonize it,
Right.
they don't actually understand what it is or what it really does.
No, and then
And
right,
that's and so they think it's just like a loser thing where it's like no, actually the like your stereotypical like stoner like that's not how most people act. Like,
Well, no, and
those people act like that
right,
with or without it.
right, and that right that whole against that
Uh,
there were the group. Everybody had the groups in school, like the stoners who hung out on the bleachers, smoking, cigarettes and
Watching Captain Kangaroo,
watching Captain Kangaroo.
counting
But
flowers on the wall.
the whole thing is that even because of course we were young, we didn't know anything, 15, 16, 17, is to go, wait, when you're not smoking or you're sober, right? You're not high, your mind is clear. It's not like it's degenerating right in front of your face. But our argument always was, you adults are drinking like crazy, acting foolish.
Yeah,
Because in those days, people could do that,
you do
and right,
way, way
right. So,
more
or that,
flagrant stuff
my
when
friend
you're
would
drunk.
just, say to my mom was like, because it's so demonized. And we would lose all respect for anybody like that. Now, of course, we're laughing behind their backs because I was always the designated driver. I just preferred not to be altered, especially in front of my parents. And so, but I walked in and worked and lived around people who could totally maintain, like you wouldn't know. Only if you looked in their eyes, or I always laughed to go, they always had Visine with them, right? To make their eyes clear. Except for the friends who you could just totally tell, who looked high all the time, whether they were smoking or not.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the difference was, just like people are using it now, some just took a hit in the morning and went on their day and they were chill.
Mhm.
They didn't sit and take 10 bong hits and just zone out. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the caricature of, believe me, those guys did that, but it's a whole different world of watching people drink, 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 and nothing good comes their way. And then going, wait, people who are partaking in cannabis in whatever form,
Yeah.
they're
Take a
just,
hit and go
when it's
about their
not in
day.
their
You got
right,
shit to
when
do,
it's not in their
man.
system anymore. And but again, so that's why I just get on soapbox for people who sold the drug, and unfortunately, in the state of California, if you got 3 strikes, you were out. Can you even imagine sitting in jail watching it all legalized?
Yeah, dude.
And because and then
It's
it's just unfortunate because we won't get political here, but
it's
it's
direct
unfortunate
tacked
some of
on
the right.
minorities and poor people.
Well, and plus it's just like that. It goes back to the information. Wherever you live is the information you know in your surroundings, right? In the everyday world you go to, your community, your schools, your towns, your nearby, cities, counties. But if you live in Northern California near the Bay Area, you live in Southern California near the Hollywood Hills, like if you see that kind of world, that's the world you're in. But people who aren't um, in these places, they would have no idea. So it's easy, right? So you hear it's easy to call us crazy, or you are all whatever, because and that's the only way they would know it if they didn't know us, or we could say California is not all San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Yep.
But the only way they would know any negative parts of it is to showcase the worst parts of it, which is the homelessness and some of the
And
crazy
it's
politics and the crime, and then
which
and
is
just the
about it, which is where it's oh man, it's really hard to avoid that stuff now. Like
right. But then right on the other
it was
hand,
kind
though,
of
is
easy to
right,
avoid it. Like you
right.
could tuck your head, but now it's
So yeah,
it
overflowing. The thing is that but the only way people who've never been to California know about California is by the media.
right.
So in any medium, whether it's somebody who's talking about, so no one, you never see great stories. You only hear about different states when they're something terrible, a sinkhole in Florida, a hurricane in South Carolina. I mean, it's just all bad news all the time. So it's just, I'm using that as an example of, now you put is like, how did the information to the masses, how did they represent cannabis? right?
The
It's like it's an illegal, it's
the
controlled
hearse guy,
substance,
the
and
hearse
it's going
guy
to kill you.
that
Right.
that killed the industry to keep paper in stock
Oh, right.
because the country was all set because there were uh decorticators and like all kinds of different things to mass produce hemp. Like they just had gone on this countrywide kick to get farmers to start growing it around the time of Hearst with the because he's the one that produced that. I'm pretty sure he's the one that produced the Reefer Madness movie. And
Oh, I did
so
not know that.
yeah,
But
and so
that brings
he's
up
one of the people
yeah.
that is mainly responsible for making it illegal because it was competing with the paper business.
But this just brings up a very good thing. When we talk about climate change and our oxygen, right? So we want
Yeah,
to
grow
part of,
hemp.
right? No, it's not just that, but in the
Leave
last
trees alone.
15, 20 years, we've almost completely removed paper from our lives. Remember people would have big stacks and cases of paper, everything was on paper.
Oh,
I
like a
remember
lot of stuff is digital now.
right, and no
And
need for printers. It's very, think about how many times you buy a printer cartridge. Even offices don't. It's really rare now. Everything is on a digital platform. You read everything, you do everything. So my point is that the amount of trees that have not been cut down for paper in the last 15 years, it has to be substantial.
yeah, I mean, but it's
And
still
if
there for like toilet paper and tissue.
right,
And
but the just think of how much paper. I'm going to look this up for the next time I'll bring it up, because I'm just thinking logically. Wait, if all these trees that were grown for paper are still standing and still generating rich oxygen for us, how could that be bad?
yeah,
I mean, and why isn't that
that's
playing a part?
why
Right. So for
that's
100
why
years,
hemp should be mass manufactured. Like because
have you
it
been to
is
Oregon? Oregon, it's
the
like hemp's grown. Like
well,
in
it needs to
people
be
are
more
renting
than
out
just
their little, yeah.
it needs to be more than just a couple places. Like they need
Mhm.
to eliminate all the paper products with hemp products, all the particle board uh with like hemp stuff because if you look like hemp plywood is way stronger than regular plywood. Like just because of the amount of fibers that are in the hemp stock. And the only reason it was made illegal is because it's just a different sex of the pot plant. Like it's the same
Right.
plant. It's just the hemp is the male version, and so it has all
Doesn't have
the
the THC.
right, and so it doesn't have the THC in it. And so because they're the same plant, like all you have to do is just resex it. And so
Interesting.
because it's not just easy peasy bam change the sex of the but
Right.
like there's you can like there's ways to do stuff because it's just a
I'm sure someone
pot
is
plant with
working
no
on it.
THC.
Yeah. I just think of all the agriculture. I know in my town alone, I live in a huge town. Lots of really pretty mountains, but there's from my house, you can go way up into this lake area. Um, and then you go on a road. They don't have road signs anymore. They just call them marker numbers. And you could be an hour from me, you can go like 30, 40 miles. I only know those marker numbers because that used to be where they'd have big Girl Scout and Brownie camps and just a really beautiful part that people really don't see unless they go out there.
Camp
But what's
Crystal Lake with Jason
yeah,
Voorhees
oh,
run around hacking up
but the thing
councilors.
is that didn't realize because mainly we grow grapes here and cattle in our town, agriculture town. Huge, huge, huge cannabis growing way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep, up in them hills.
Because it's perfect weather for it. Really hot, and then they get a little bit of cooling from the ocean because we're out in the valley in the evening. That's why it's good for grapes. It's good for, but yeah, we definitely are kind of a little desert. It's not deserty, but it's pretty warm because we're protected from the hills. Anyway, but it was a big, huge FBI sting thing, and the people on the grounds going, "We own this place. Get out of here!" Big shootout. Nobody got killed, but it made all the front page of the paper going, oh, We had no idea our town had so
Oh, I've
much
seen
cannabis,
there are several interesting cannabis documentaries about Northern
right?
California and
Yeah,
because
perfect place to grow it.
there are people that would sneak up onto federal land and grow like acres of that
Of
shit
course.
like under tree cover. And yeah, there are some
But
interesting
just right.
documentaries
Think
about that.
I'm sure it's got to be, and I don't know the I don't know. I know Oregon and Washington grow a lot, but the big thing, when people grow their pot plants up in their attics and their rooms and everything, it's constant light. They
Oh
always
yeah,
have the lights, right? And I
yeah. You
think,
notice on the power grid is
right, so
how
that
that's how a
right,
lot of
so
people get caught.
but then California has sunshine almost every single day, and even its coldest is it's unusual to be below 48, 40, 50 degrees,
Yep.
but most of the year it's 72 degrees or
Yeah.
warmer in places. So it's got to be a perfect climate, that sun. Then I wonder, because there's a ton of it's probably but different species too of cannabis that grows really good when in cloudy overcast
Yeah,
like Oregon and
there are
Washington.
also different strains that grow better outside.
Yeah,
Some grow great indoors because there are, like, depending on on the stalk height and
right.
the growth yield, like because there are some shorter plants that grow bigger fruit, and so those are better for indoors. And then you've got some like plants that do better outside because they can max out with their height and then grow.
That's
So
what
it
we should do.
just
We should
depends.
have somebody on. We should have a guest on who's knows a lot, not just in the actual plant itself, but like the different species. Because it'd be really interesting. Because if you go into seriously out in the West, you got Arizona, Oregon, Washington State, California. You can walk into any of these places, have it home delivered, but it'd be almost like a customer service kind of thing or an informative thing. Seriously, because you walk into one of these places and there's a ton of little packaged gummies with a certain percentage of THC. Of course,
Hmm.
they've got CBD, but then there's a whole counter under glass that you can choose different buds.
Yep, and
And
they all
but
do indica, sativa, CBD.
right,
There's
all different,
hybrids that
right?
fit, like, because it, depending on what time of day it is kind of what you would want to smoke. Sativas are morning, like during the day, because it doesn't get you as that sleepy stuff. Where indica will, that's if you ever will develop a couch lock, that's probably
Right?
what you'll
You
do.
got that, right? And then they do the combination for
Hmm.
pain and inflammation, the CBD with
Yep.
a little
Well,
touch of THC.
all there even indica and sativa does have anti-inflammatory properties as
Yeah,
well, but
yeah.
CBD has the most. Like I'm a huge fan of CBD. The whether you smoke it or it's edible, like I
Hmm.
have lotion. I have like this like CBD icy hot that's like on a
Hmm.
roller. That's awesome for long day of manual labor, as well as this just regular lotion. Uh, it yeah. I'm
Yeah, I've got uh, CBD and tree oil for my knees.
mhm.
That I can't tell sometimes if it's helpful and soothing. It probably is,
Yeah.
but it's
It
just so sometimes when you're dealing with our joints and stuff, it could
and if
be,
you're using
yeah,
CBD like every day, like you should probably back off
consistently.
for a minute to
No, I
let
don't
it.
use it. I use it usually, yeah. Oh, to do its thing.
Yeah, let yourself reacclimate, especially if you're taking it like internally, like if you're ingesting it, like because
No,
sometimes
this is an
depending on
oil.
same way. I mean, you don't necessarily want to use
Yeah.
it like because you'll get used because it is medicinal, and like with medicinal
Mhm.
things, you get used to the potency of it. You know,
Let's do a cannabis show.
so okay.
Well, we kind of did a partial one, but seriously, we should do it just to, because that's where we want to look at the laws, look at how many people are in jail for the three strikes you're out or long jail sentences for selling cannabis before it became legal. Then we'll look at the different types of plants, species of plants, because that's really interesting between the hemp and the cannabis. I did not know that was the male.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
really
it's
interesting. How are we doing on time? You're looking at your clock.
I wasn't actually. I don't know what I was looking
Oh.
at, but it is 54 minutes.
Look at how good
But
we
yeah,
are.
I can. I think I can find somebody that knows a little bit more than I do about
Is that possible, Ryan?
that
Come on, be
stuff.
honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe I'll bring a list of. Let me see. Do
The
I have somebody? But
because I work like several years back. Like I actually worked on a farm for it. I
a
mean, that's one
cannabis
of
farm.
yeah. That's one of the all of the warehouses in LA are pot farms. if you didn't know, like damn near all of the
I did not know that.
yeah, damn near all
Makes sense though, huh?
the
It has, yeah.
warehouses
Why not? You can rent, right?
are
You can rent
farms.
one of those big rectangle, empty things, set up your stuff, and boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, boom.
Divided off into rooms. Yeah, we had 3 different rooms.
Mm-hmm.
The plus your like curing room and all of that stuff, and then the like clone room that had all the like baby clone and mom room that had all the babies and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting, especially like from a farming like agriculture type prospect. Just the whole thing. But yeah, I think I might actually know people that are still like in it like that. Like
Just to be interesting to, like I said, I would bring my kind of like the legal side of it, see what the updated things are, because I know there are still people out here in California
that are in
and
jail for it.
who are in jail for it, but long sentences because they tried to run. Because remember, we had cannabis stores before it was that when California legalized it, it was not legal in the federal government, and the feds were coming in, and so you'd have a store of a
Oh yeah,
store,
yeah.
and they're right. The big famous one here in Northern California, the guy kept getting arrested. But what happens is that the way our laws work, you can only get arrested so many times before you're sentenced because it keeps getting
well.
yeah.
Even when I first moved here, like in 2000, I moved here in 2012. Some you would see it's not so much anymore, but a lot of dispensaries like they would be up. You'd find a regular spot, and then like 4 or 5 months later, it just disappear. Like because the federal government would come in and just wipe them out, take all their cash, and so a lot of times they wouldn't. They would like so. I know for a while, a lot of places wouldn't keep a lot of product or money on hand. Because there was a good chance that even though it's legal in California, the federal government would still maybe come in and just take everything.
And that was what was a lot of people's minds, to say, you're letting them set up, you're watching them, wait until they get big, and that's when you decide and that I think there's a documentary about that, and that a real famous dispensary out here. But a couple of those guys, those owners, went to jail trying to fight it, to say, I live in California, and the federal government comes in. But then they were also becoming part of the government enemy by saying, look at these coincidences. If I had nothing and there's nothing to take, because they were just implicating that not only you want to shut us down, but you want to take all of our money. So the idea is like, so now you're robbing us, but you're waiting till we're fat and happy and popular, and at the same time trying to seize records, because that's kind of the big brother part of it. You can walk into any cannabis place, but you better show you have to have your license. And then there's always that thing of going, okay, do we care? Is the federal government, if I went in and bought something, going to come after me? To say are we all being set up to be criminals? I hope.
Oh,
so.
definitely. Definitely. The
Because that whole rules of let's make the rules. It's like, but
yeah. Oh, definitely. They're like,
you're right.
Definitely for sure. I'm sure there's some.
I mean, it just seems just so right,
sinister plot somewhere.
Because you know what, this is what, and someone can, all the millions of trillions of people that watch us, but someone can try and debate me on this. But I've heard of people being impaired, like so they took way too many bong hits, but they couldn't even start a car, let alone drive a car.
Oh, right.
But,
yeah.
you know, compare, you know what I mean? It's like, can't find my keys or anything. They can't get off the couch.
Yeah.
That's usually the stupid,
compared
right?
to a drunk person who.
And that's my thing is that so, if it indeed was the devil that it's supposed to be, why don't we hear more about all the criminal activity that it causes, all the, the car accidents it causes, all the mental health issues that it causes? Because it doesn't.
Right. Although
because it's a depressant.
There are some. I do know of a guy I know recently. His wife was in an accident with someone who was only under the influence of pot.
Heavy.
And so, I think, but yeah,
and it could be a thing,
but
just like with
also it doesn't necessarily, and that's one of the things with pot is that just because you have it in your system doesn't mean you're actually high, because it stays in your system for like weeks,
for a long time. Yeah,
it
stays in your hair for a long time too.
Oh yeah, in your hair like 6-8 months.
I only know that from watching cases, the drug court cases, where they'll say,
oh yeah, they'll test your hair.
We're gonna they're like, I'll take a pee test. And the judge says, no, we want a hair sample. It's like, have you done any of these drugs? No. I'll take a pee test. It's like, no, we're gonna take the hair. We can go back months with that hair sample.
Yeah.
No.
Whereas so the pee test is only good for like months, I think, for some drugs. Like, because I think pot will still show up after about a month.
Yeah.
Depending on how much water you drink and how active you are. Like, because THC is fat soluble. And so it gets out of your system the more active you are when burning fat.
Well, that's a great tip for all the kids watching out there.
But drink lots of water and exercise.
And as hard as you try to manipulate that, there's a more sensitive test being built every single day.
Yeah. But there's also some smart people looking for ways around it.
And on that note,
thanks for watching.
I'm not going to incriminate myself by being Ryan's friend. Everyone, thank you for watching. We love you all. And we're going to get a guest and talk cannabis.
Yes.
We're going to pick up the heat on this show.
Get into some topics.
We're going to light something up.
Yes. So with that, guys, go to our stuff. Go to smallbusinesspodcast.org. Go to trashcanconductor.com. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that bell for all alerts so that way you can be notified whenever we put out one of these super fun episodes. And we are also wherever you want to listen to your podcast. Like, we are on Spotify and all of that fun stuff.
We're fancy. And so remember, kids, reefer.
Be responsible.
That's all I'm going to say.
Just be responsible, guys, with whatever you do.
And it's legal.
Yep.
Have a great week. See you next week.